Good morning, everyone. I'd love to talk about love today. Matthew 22, verse 37 to 39 says, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, so your whole entire being. And the second is like unto it. Like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And it's so funny because it's not just, this is commandment number one, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And then love your neighbor. Jesus actually says the second commandment is similar to the first. It's attached, it's part of, it's an extension of the first. Love your neighbor as yourself. And throughout the years, and if you turn 50 or 20 or whatever, you are always hearing a preacher goes, and who is your neighbor? Is that person not your neighbor? And is that person not your neighbor? And I live in a country where there was much segregation and much separation for many years. And so there was always this question around Christians around who is your neighbor in this country, and you had to be able to distinguish who your neighbor was. And wasn't the person that lived next door, across the road, or behind you. Your neighbor was your fellow man. And that was the most important thing to understand. And throughout the last few years, there's been this disruption in the world. And then extra disruption in every country. I mean, every country has seen a little bit of unrest and some violence, and like in 2020, you had the Black Lives Matter movement stand up and fighting what they saw as injustice, which was injustice, but what they saw as injustice in their country. And South Africa is going through something now, and I mean, in all countries around the world, and in North Africa, it's quite prevalent. And it's so easy to stand and look at those people and go, I hate you. And it's so easy for us to send messages around what they are planning to do, and they're going to starve us out, or they want to burn all the farms if you don't agree with them, or they want to steal all the food and that kind of thing. And what we saw on the news and on the TV, I think it was not even nearly as much as what was happening. If you listen to people that are on the ground in the spaces, we're not seeing everything that's happening in our provinces. And it's so easy to go, I hate them. And they are just animals, or they are just lawless. And they are being lawless. I'm not arguing about any of that. But to hate monger in your heart. The problem with that is, when you hate monger in your heart, you give the devil exactly what he wants. And so I received 2 spoken messages on my phone, and the one was all about what they are planning and that, and it created fear. It was fear. And the other was, yes, this is happening. This man had ridden from one place to another place in our country, and he'd seen all the burnt out trucks, and he'd seen everything. And he said, I saw all of that. And I'm an economist. And even before the pandemic, there was problems in our country with our economy. But the only thing that is going to change is if we pray to God for protection. And then he said something that was quite scary to me and quite eye-opening. And you know why it was scary? Because I hadn't embraced that thought. He was saying, we need to pray for our attackers. We need to pray for the ones that are causing the burning. And I don't want to pray for them. I did not until then. And then I realized I come here every day and say to you, I want you to pray for everybody, and we must find people and change their hearts. And I don't want to pray for that. So loving your neighbor is like loving your God. And that looks like, I might not agree with what you're doing. I might not like what you're doing. In fact, I might hate what you're doing. But I'm going to pray for your soul. We've been praying for reconciliation in this country for a long time. Maybe we need to look at our prayers and adjust them a bit. Have an awesome day, and we'll speak again tomorrow.